Hi, Claire Staines at Lothlorien DS again. I put up a bit last week, actually it was 2 weeks ago, where we were talking about a Malamute that had at dog manners class, quite a young dog. And I had mentioned on the photograph about motivation, and somebody had asked for some clarification on what I meant by that. So I could do like a big long written thing, however it's much easier just to do it this way. Um, so for me, the motivational skill that a dog trainer has to have is I have to be able to motivate a client. I have to be able to motivate a human being, an individual. And in order to do that, a lot of times, you have to sort of go outside the box a bit and get to know the person. That's very much my style. I'm not saying whether it's right or whether it's wrong, but it's how I sort of do things. So I try to connect with the client as much as I possibly can, whether it be find common ground on something trivial like what music do they like, just down to chatting to them a little bit about, what their life was like and what they do for a job and things like that. I just find that helps me find a way that makes that person tick. For example, I know you won't mind me saying, Milo's owner is a very quiet young man, very lovely young man, but very, very quiet. So to motivate him means me really more or less having a giggle with him. So his name's William, so straight away day one I started calling him Will I Am. Sounds really stupid, I know, but it just kind of meant that we could sort of have a laugh whilst doing what we do. So I found then motivating William was much easier to do because we had made a connection. We're having a relationship per se. So that's what we do with the client. Now, down to each individual dog, every dog's got a different code that's going to motivate them. You're dealing with reactive dogs. A lot of times the motivation, you have to work quietly. First of all, I find if the owner starts praising them and stuff like that and giving too much feedback, then the dog can get more stressed out. But you still want to achieve a goal. So a lot of times with the reactive dogs, it's basically to find a bit of peace. So you can do that. Just examples, things like you couldn't motivate a greyhound to do anything when it's raining. Impossible. A lot of dogs when it's raining actually are quite difficult to sort of get a tickle on. When we are doing the tricks training, you have to be very yeehaw, you have to act very silly, and you have to be encouraging the dog all the time that it's getting things right. Again, not saying whether that's right or wrong, just that's sort of how I fly by it. I've got 3 dogs, all 3 of the same breed, so you would kind of think that they sort of work for the same thing, but it's just so not true. My oldest, his primary motivation just seems to be he likes doing things, so he doesn't really need huge big rewards for stuff, and he really likes to please. He really does like to please, and I must admit I don't really like saying that my dog likes to please me, but he does. I'd much rather sometimes he went away and pleased himself, because sometimes I'm like, go have some fun. My middle dog's really hard to motivate to the point where training sessions need to be ridiculous, sort of like about 30 seconds long when she doesn't realise that we're actually training or something. She's really, really hard to motivate, and if she cottons on that you're actually trying to shape her into doing something, she just gives you a dirty look and goes off to her bed. Don't get me wrong, walks beautifully, recalls, does all of that, so I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm saying here, that, I just let my dogs away with it. And my youngest dog, he's really easy to motivate. You just let him jump about like a lunatic. He will do whatever you like. We can get him doing sits down stands for like 30 in a row, verbal, so long as you just let him jump for joy at the end. It's like forget the biscuit, just let me jump. So before you're going to start working with a dog, if you're a trainer, before you're going to start working with a client, I think it's nicer if you can just break down some barriers. I know you got to be professional, that there has to be a certain distance that you know, they're not your friends, but why can't they be? Why can't you have a relationship where, you know, you can act a little bit silly, or, you know, for somebody who's maybe doesn't like that kind of thing, where you find whatever sort of floats their boat. So it was just to give some clarification to the person who had asked that question. She said she found it quite hard to get her head round was what I meant by motivation, but it sort of encapsulates a whole lot of things. First of all, you want somebody to do the work, so if that means, you know, making things easier for that individual person, you've got to put aside that I think, well, I could do this in a week. I have to think, what's that person able to achieve? What can that person do? Because there's no point in me giving them something huge, big, massive to do and then criticising them for not doing it, because then they're not going to want to come back to me. And I've got to be careful, because at the end of the day, you know, trainers like me, we're flying the flag for positive training, which can take a rigorous doing at sometimes. So you want to make sure that what the information that we're giving it is right, and also it's making sure that our trade is moving forward and being successful, so people are telling success stories, because we are kind of up against the 7-minute cure all problems trainers. However, that takes us on to a totally different conversation. So just about the motivation, you know, if your dog doesn't like the rain, don't try and teach it something new while it's raining. If your dog is frightened of noise, you're not going to want to train out in a busy street until you work on desensitising them to sound and stuff. So it's just finding that thing that motivates them, and then also looking for the things that's going to affect their training negatively, and you want to remove that so that they do feel motivated to do it, because the food should not be the motivation, the food should be the reward. Anyway, that's enough from me. Not sure that makes it any clearer. It's clearer in my head, so all's well. Anyway, have a good one. Sunny in Scotland again. Who knows what's going on. Take care then. Bye.